Kind of makes me wonder why the hell so many people are trying to tell me to slow down. Seems like motherfuckers should be shutting the hell up and enjoying the show. The only thing I'm seeing I'd like to put an amend on, perhaps a little more room here for the fixins. You know what I'm talking about?
Ooh, we're gonna have a lot of fixins?
We're gonna have so many fucking fixins up in this motherfucker. This shit's gonna go through the roof, man. God damn, I'm shitting gold these days.
Peace, family. What's good? It's the Hood Mystic representing www.hoodmystic.com, altercreations.net. Check those sites out. But let's finish this up, man. 4 out of 4 for the Alchemy series, and we're going to be discussing this last stage, the Rubedo, the red stage, the reddening, the blushing, or the flushing, or the flashing, all different words, but ultimately mean the same thing. And doing this study and working this alchemy, what I tend to find is that there is a multiple way of saying the same thing. And so with this information, I'm trying to unify the differences that are presented in front of us. And through this work, I've transformed myself and my understanding of myself, and just the overall point of view that's kind of like different. And so one would ask, why do the alchemy? And it's for this moment or this understanding right here. If you look at this picture, you see a sun and a moon at the top culminating together to create this substance or create this liquid pouring into a cup. And that all represents the Rubedo, and the sun and the moon coming together creating this liquid could represent a form of Venus or a form of illumination, also Mercury. So ultimately you have a combination of Venus and Mercury to create this Super Saiyan, all-knowing, deep-ass person, and to cultivate and bring forth this deep-ass person that you are. It is not found in particular events, particular social groups, particular groupings, particular thoughts, particular churches, or nothing like that. It's found within you. So surrounding this picture, you see some words, but these are just Latin words. And if we were to narrate them, it just simply says visit, correcting, the interior of the stone. So what we're trying to correct is found within, and through this process of the Rubedo, we're going to discuss this in a way that, we always talk about it in consciousness, it's all within you, you are all, and, stuck in the matrix, and all of these cliche conscious terms. The alchemy sort of brings light to that supernatural or super spiritual or just overall super individual that we know that we are within us, but it may be difficult to find. And it's a long process, it's a long road. And I guess let me just jump into this overview before I get into the full slides. And so the Negredo, here we have a scene of the particular Jungian archetypes. But even in this, you can find the alchemical process, starting with the Negredo, which is the shadow, where you come full force with all of that you don't know about yourself, or all of the things that you put on the back burner, and all of the negative and positive experiences of what you call humanity. And within this is, damn, I never went to prom, or I did go to prom and I wish everything is like the prom, and all of these regrets, and oh, my baby daddy left me, oh, my baby mama cheated on me, oh, I'm ugly, and all of these different things. And that moves us into albedo, where you see the anima and the animus peering into each other, where you really get to take a look at yourself and separate. The anima and animus in psychology is where you look at the shadow that you're putting on your partner or the opposite sex, where we're judging people based upon our idealizations, based upon like our father, how our father was or how our father wasn't. Oh, I need a man like this. Oh, I need a woman like that. I need a jet beauty of the week, etc. And our life, we put a lot of pressure on our lives. What kind of house we want, what kind of car we want to drive, the kind of clothes we want to wear. So much pressure. But the albedo, in a sense, is supposedly to separate all of those pressures and you to just deal with your pure self. And then that brings us to the citronatus, or the persona, where every day we are different people. When I'm at work, I have a particular persona. When I'm at, at a religious ceremony, I have a particular persona. When I'm at the grocery store, I have a particular persona. When I'm with my family, I have a particular persona. When I'm with, strippers, I have a particular persona. So it's just, all of these masks that we tend to wear is the citronitis phase would be to rid yourselves of the mask. And hopefully throughout this process, you are shedding those false beliefs and coming into the holistic sense of you. And so the rubedo phase is dealing with my mans and them in the back, the self. So many times we think of the self as the self, but that's just our misunderstanding. The self is more or less the complete unified consciousness of everything that we are. Our experience in this realm we call Earth, and our many different lifetimes, and it culminates into what we call a soul. And so this is the self that we're trying to get to, but it's hard to get to when we have the shadow, when we have the anima and animus, and then when we have the persona. And it seems as though the self would be something that is unknown to us. And the reason that we would want to do alchemy is to get close to or locate the self within us all. So the Rubedo stage is the final stage. and we can see different examples, whether in tarot or occultism or in movies or in videos, where it's the person clothed in red, or the red robe, the red king, the rose king. And this picture of the lion holding up the cup with the oil is more or less speaking to the oil that is created when we do the alchemy. The reason that the magician is able to be a magician is because he's done the alchemy and he's given the red robe. The reason that the emperor sits on his throne is because he represents a person that has done the alchemy and now is clothed in the red robe. Ultimately, this is the culmination where we resolve all psychic conflicts and we balance all opposites within ourselves. There are things about you that you hold back. There are things about you that your wife doesn't know, and things about yourself that you hold back from people. And that just means that you're not ready for alchemy. You're still trying to hold up this false self. You're still trying to hold up, whether it's the false anima animus, or you're a victim to your shadow, or you're a victim to your persona. Yeah, so many layers to get to the root of everything. I appreciate, and I'm happy that these videos are in alignment, honestly, because when I'm doing the actual work, I feel like I'm in some form of a vacuum, and that nobody could resonate with this particular information. So if people are able to connect with it, just give me a thumbs up, do a like, share this video, because you never know who else might be in complete alignment with this information and who it might save. But ultimately, we're trying to get to the ultimate of all ultimates. And we can't get to the ultimate of all ultimates relying on the ego. And to the neophyte, or to the person who doesn't know anything about magic, occultism, and things of that nature, psychology, the ego is the complete, total, utter center of consciousness. James Jenkins is who you are. Everything that's happened to James Jenkins, everything that's happened to Claudette, everything that has happened to Cheryl, everything that happens to Michael is all that there is. So when we reference the self, it's just a person that's in the back of the corner, completely unknown. Somebody that we don't even know, because the ego is the center of all consciousness. And there is no escaping that reality that the ego is the center of all consciousness. Nothing will stop me from going to sleep as myself and waking up as myself. When I open up my eyes, I'm going to be the person that I was when I fell asleep, because the ego is the center of consciousness. But that does not stop us from implementing and realizing that the shadow and beyond the shadow is the self. The shadow, if we want to really get technical, we're actually casting a literal shadow on the self by negative things, and negative things that we constantly go over based upon the fact that the ego is the center of consciousness. And so to understand the ego versus the personality, one would have to understand that the personality is the self and the ego. What do I mean? In our minds, we are successful. We say the right things. We stand up to our boss. We tell our girlfriends, you're going to listen to me tonight. You're going to cook steak and eggs. So I like steak and eggs, and we ain't eating noodles. In our minds, we want to say that. But then when we get home, oh, noodles again, babe? Make sure you give me some beef and throw a little hot sauce in mine. But we wanted to say cook steak and eggs. But since we haven't fully incorporated ourselves into the ego, there are limitations to how we express ourselves. And you just need to understand that, like, the personality and what you exude, you could incorporate different archetypes, you could incorporate your soul, you could understand that, okay, I am this person, but there is more to me. So a simple way to look at it is understanding the ego center of consciousness would be this small dot, which is you. And that's understandable and that's okay. But the self is this whole big ass circle that we exist in. Our world, our understanding, our family, everything exists within this circle. So understanding that we can incorporate so much more into this small point that we call ourselves represents illumination. And when we want to fully illuminate ourselves, we don't illuminate ourselves in the aspect of, hey man, I'm just deep. And, I'm just saying a whole bunch of stuff that I read in books. No, we're talking about an actual physical, physiological transformation that is represented by a particular oil, a particular philosopher's stone, a particular amulet, or what we're going to talk about. But we're talking about a physiological change in our understanding that if we do this work and we shed our ego and we fully realize our soul in this waking moment, then if we do it right, then we expect to change. We couldn't never expect everything to be exactly the way that it was. And so before we go forward, let's just take a moment to understand why alchemy might not ever be for you or people that you know. We would have to revert to Maslow's hierarchy of needs and understand that there are particular basic needs that have to be realized before we could reach a level of illumination, before we could ever step into the Red King role, before we could ever step into the fully illuminated individual role. There are particular needs that need to be met. And so when you talk about our people, excuse me, at a general level, are stuck at a physiological or a safety security level. They're trying to make the money, they're trying to save the money, they're trying to pay the rent, they're trying to go out, they're trying to be comfortable, they're trying to relax. Oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I've been working so hard. Oh, I don't have any friends, I don't have any relationships, I don't feel good about myself. I haven't accomplished anything in life. And, I've never stepped out of my shell. And, oh, I'm interested in this alchemy. Wait a second. Because all of these things have to be met, meaning that I couldn't talk about this stuff 3 years ago because I was still trying to get my needs met. I was still trying to build my brand. I was still trying to be respected for what I'm doing and, putting my nose to the grindstone and, working hard and putting in the work and working long hours. I'm able to pay the rent. I'm able to provide for my family. I'm able to, say money is coming in multiple streams. I'm able to project and know that, okay, I'm not, broke as shit, and I'm not like out here thoughting either. I come home, I have a productive, healthy relationship with my wife. I have people that I talk to, that I'm close to, that I open up with. They open up to me, and I'm respected for what I do. But to get to this level of Rubedo, I have to be able to say fuck all of that shit, because I done already done it. If you haven't gotten to that point, you wouldn't necessarily say fuck having close relationships. If you don't have security and you're trying to get security, you wouldn't say fuck security. If you're hungry, you're not gonna say fuck food if you're starving. So to get to a level of alchemy, you gotta work hard on the back end. You understand? Like, you can't just, I mean, you can. So in my mind, I viewed it as you could be at the height of your shit, or you could be at the very bottom, where you could completely forego these psychological needs and safety needs and belonging needs and esteem needs and go straight for self-actualization in the bottom because you have nothing to lose. If you're in the middle trying to gain and trying to rise, then you have everything to lose. So when we discuss the Rubedo, then it's like, no, I'm not gonna do that because my ego is the center of consciousness and I can't afford to break that. I am, Tierra. I am this person and I can't not be this person. But Rubedo says you are, the alchemy process is you most definitely are not who you think you are, and you are something much more. The Philosopher's Stone. More than it creating a particular substance, in the grand scheme of things, it's you being able to incorporate an all-knowing sense in your everyday life and then creating a level of transcendence of all nature and problems and dilemmas and issues and situations and all of these things that you face as an ego, as a person with no real defense other than your material possessions. So you could be very spiritual and be very popular and get a lot of things from your spirituality. And these things that you've gained from your spirituality become your viewpoint of your spirit. Like, that is the benchmark and the trademark for your spirit. But the reality, you are that which you attract. Whether you have a lot, whether you have nothing, you are still this spiritual being with so much power that your material possessions, whether you have a lot, whether you have nothing, is completely irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, because when you factor in material possessions, when you factor in love, when you factor in relationships, when you factor in security, you're factoring it within a particular paradigm. Meaning that if you are in the jungle, the idea of security, the idea of prosperity might be who has the most coconuts and who has the most wives, who is the strongest, who is the best hunter. It might not have anything to do with the paper fiat that you have or the imaginary digits that you have in your bank account. And the Rubedo would be to say, whether you're in a jungle or whether you're in an urban landscape, you will transcend all issues, problems, or difficulties because you are fully illuminated with the all. You are a representation. The words that come out of your mouth, your actions, everything represents the all. You are, in fact, implementing the soul into your everyday waking life. And this is something that you wouldn't necessarily need to pray for, or hope for, or wish for. You would just simply need to do the work. So how is this accomplished? This is accomplished by a particular Latin phrase known throughout all of occult thought. You see it on many tarot cards and express, but maybe you don't fully understand. And that concept would be to dissolve and to coagulate. Meaning, simply, as we stated before, the ego must be dissolved completely, broken down to nothing, and then rebuilt with this idea of the soul and mind, because the ego was not built with the idea of the soul and mind. The ego was built with first your mother and father or your guardians, how they wanted you to be or how they viewed you or what they expected of you. than children in school. If you went to school, if you went outside, hey, you run too slow, hey, you fat, you ugly, you this, you that. And this created who you viewed yourself. Or it could be, hey, you're popular, or you're sexy, or you're beautiful, or you're smart, you're a genius. And all of these things are all ego, especially the good things. Now, like I said, the good things hard to get rid of unless you really got it. It's easy, talking to people. They always say, girls, they hate being called beautiful sometimes because it's like that's all they hear. They want to be, maybe she's an astrophysicist and she came up with, the most complicated, formula known to, save babies' lives, but she got a nice titties and ass, and every time she walk into the room, the dude is drooling over how she looks, but she like, damn, I'm literally coming up with mathematical formulas. So of course I'll give these looks away so I could get my real point across. But see, if you still trying to get that attention, you still trying to get that light, then you wouldn't even fathom that. You wouldn't even fathom a person. Like, you hear that shit all the time. This person just gave all of his money away and went to the mountains. Just gave him enough money so he could eat. And he gave all his money away to a church. And you like, what the fuck? Type of crazy shit is that? You know how many, dashikis I could have bought with that money? You can, once you have it, you realize that it ain't shit. But you got to get it first. You got to get it first. If you don't feel the need to become a butterfly in a world of caterpillars, then this formula isn't particularly for you. This conversation isn't particularly for you. And I would advise you to, reference YouTube, which has literally billions of videos for caterpillars to help you in anything that you want to do as a caterpillar. You build caterpillar house, drive caterpillar cars, go caterpillar places, do caterpillar things. Oh, these caterpillars is throwing hexes on you, and these caterpillars is against me, and the white caterpillars versus the black caterpillars versus the green caterpillars. Don't nobody like the green caterpillar because they always blending in with shit. They got an unfair advantage. The black caterpillars. Enough. You could transform, or you can continue to deal in this muckety muck with these muckety muckers. You understand? And talk about the same shit that niggas been talking about for the past 100 years, about situations and particular paradigms that probably don't even have nothing to do with you, but you wouldn't know because you didn't do the alchemy. You still are in a particular paradigm that was created for you to be subjugated. Even if you were celebrated in that paradigm, you are, the thought that comes to my mind is, in prison, they can give you particular rights and particular privileges to make you just feel better. And in that space of having particular privileges, oh, I'm a porter, I get to roam around the prison freely. I can go in and out of particular corridors in the prison freely. I'm a happy inmate. My nigga, but you still in prison though. So if ever you wanted to rise out of prison, you would have to figure out a whole new formula and a whole new way to think about your life. We're gonna transition to the Gospel of Thomas throughout Gnostic texts, and I'm gonna end this video with just referencing a couple of different understandings of the great work, understandings of psychological alchemy, and the actual point of it. When we deal with the final phase, when we deal with the Rubedo phase, we're hopefully it should make sense by now. It should resonate to a point of massive change, and that massive change isn't just something that stays in the esoteric thought spheres. It's something that you can completely embody in your waking life. Just reading this from the Gospel of Thomas, section 22. When you make two into one, and when you make the inner like the outer, and the outer like the inner, and the upper like the lower, and when you make the male and female into a single one, so that the male will not be male, nor the female be female, when you make eyes in place of an eye, hand in place of a hand, a foot in place of a foot, an image in place of an image, then you will enter the kingdom. So many times I could read that and be like, oh, this is interesting. Like, but it never fully resonates. It sounds really good, but to understand what's actually being said, that since we all have a soul, since we all have a self that's completely unknown to us because we have an ego, then the culmination of our ego in ourself would represent a completely new understanding of ourselves. And once we come into that understanding, it would be hard to put into words what's actually happening. So when you search alchemy online and you search the particular pictures and imagery, it's extremely abstract in them trying to explain this particular system. It's completely irrational. It's completely, subconscious. It's not like A, B, C, D. It's like it doesn't necessarily make sense. And to a human being, or to a caterpillar trying to explain how to fly, it wouldn't necessarily, it's damn near, not damn near, it's completely impossible for a caterpillar to fly. It has to go through a particular metamorphosis that involves a cocoon and dealing with which is within, correcting itself from within, and then emerging from that cocoon as a completely new being. And from that point, it'll be able to fly. It don't matter how many lectures you go to. It don't matter what caterpillar group you in. It don't matter what school you go to with other caterpillars to learn caterpillar shit. It does not matter. You could go to school for 5 years, 5,000 years until you're ready to embrace the shadow, to fully develop yourself, envelop yourself in the cocoon, and emerge from that cocoon a new being. You could just squash it. Cause you just gonna be in a whole caterpillar world, and you know that there's a butterfly world where there's other shit happening. You know it. And it's not something that you could, and it be so many people, I'm bored. I ain't got shit to do. I'm trying to figure out what to do. What's popping today? Man, you got so much work to do in developing yourself that there is no such thing as boredom when you are outside of the ego and you're allowing the soul to channel itself through you. Why not? It's your soul, it's your power, it's your illumination, it's your understanding. Because you have the sun and the moon, which is esoteric for your subconscious mind, and then your personality coming together, creating something new. We can study all of this astrology. The sun is here, the sun is there, I'm a this, I'm a that. But at a certain point, it gotta click for you. Oh, this expression of my sun mixed with this expression of my moon creates a new entity. Because before, I did not understand my astrology. I was a victim to my ignorance. Now that I'm fully aware of my astrology, then I can begin to incorporate that into which is this new being, which I call myself. Very simple, but it's just not talked about. And so what gives this the energy, what gives this the juice is the idea of the divine spirit, or the ultimate Venusian illumination, the morning star or evening star, the third brightest star in the sky, shining down, uniting with our soul, which is Venus uniting with our experience uniting with us, creating a phoenix or creating a particular energy that rises from the ashes. And in this space, you would be so prepared because you are not this or that girl, boy, fat, skinny, black, white. You are. You are here in this moment. And the reason why you are here may be unknown, but this is the fact that you're here to experience this moment, because some souls are not here to experience this moment. Some souls have exited the body based upon a variety of particular reasons, but understanding you in this moment and combining all of these facts of esoteric perfection, you could focus on this, or you could focus on the fact that, life is just what it is. It's just, I'm just this normal person, blah, 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 doing the regular shit. Or you could come into an understanding, which is a fact of nature. No matter how isolated you are and how lonely you feel, if you do your work truly, sincerely, conscientiously, unknown friends will come to you and seek you. Let me say that one more time. No matter how isolated you are and how lonely you feel, if you do your work truly, conscientiously, unknown friends will come and seek you. I can only speak from experience. I can only be on this live right now saying I don't know none of y'all. I don't I don't know you personally, but somehow you found this channel, somehow you found this content, somehow you found this message, and it's only because I've done the work to get to this point to bring you this presentation. I had to work at a job to pay the internet bill to allow this live stream to take place. If I did not do the work, then I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't be able to speak to you in this fashion. But it's not about me, it's not about you, it's for anybody that's trying to do this work. These things exist. Venus exists. Your soul exists. You exist. And this existence, we can acknowledge that illumination exists. We can acknowledge that Venus exists. We could bear witness at 5 a.m. We could bear witness at around dusk. That Venus exists. We could bear witness to our experience. We can bear witness to our hands. We can look into the mirror. We can bear witness on all of these things. So therefore, that represents a trinity. What we need to bring into full understanding what this work truly, truly speaks to 100% is that Trinity needs to become a unity, because you are Venus, you are your experience, you are your body. You're just separating that shit. And you're just looking at it from an angle that's not been taught to you. But this is why we do the work, and this is why we share, so we can begin to spread the message that we are the souls that we are seeking. We are the experience that we are seeking, and we are the work that needs to be done. And once we start to do that work and allow that light to shine through, don't worry about the benefits. The benefits is going to take care of themselves, I promise. So, in Hindu mythology, the alchemical process is found in the churning of the ocean of milk. There was this deity who wanted to produce Amrit, Amrit, the Elixir of Life, or the Philosopher's Stone, whatever you want to call it. different word, same thing. And Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva decided to work together to help the devas and the gods churn this ocean to create this Amrit. And the reason why everybody started to work together to churn this cosmic sea is for this Amrit, because this Amrit was the elixir of life. And in these pictures, you see the demons working with the gods. You see the monsters working with the majestic mythical creatures, all with the same goal. Now, we could imagine a world where this shit exists, where, it's actual demons and actual monsters with 6 heads pulling on a snake, and, that actually happened. Or we could take it esoteric and metaphysical and realize that we got demons within us and we got mythical, majestic, magical creatures within us. And the reality is that them niggas need to start working together so we can create this elixir of life, period. You can't, the demons and the gods got to work together. They got to work together. Or else you don't create the elixir of life, you don't create immortality, and you just gonna die. You just gonna live and you just gonna die, and you ain't gonna have no illumination on life, and that's okay. It's billions. It's billions of people who have made the decision of not to enlighten themselves, not to advance themselves spiritually, not to know self. It is billions of people. And if you want to be one of the outsiders, one of the outliers, understand that you're going to be weird as shit. Understand that you're going to be different as shit. Understand that people may not like you. Understand that people might look at you as weird. But then understand that you are going to create the elixir of life and immortality. And that's the actual purpose of life. This is not some esoteric mumbo jumbo that niggas like to, spew just for the sake of views and just for the sake of, oh, I read this in a book and it sounds good. This is an actual physiological understanding that has been talked about throughout the ages. Up until this moment, we are here to create the elixir of life, and it is through bringing this illumination in and raising up the energy by doing the kundalini work, doing the chakra work, fully understanding this shit completely, and stop playing with this shit. This is the chakra of the heart. This is the energy of copper, the electrical current, the particular substance that holds the most electrical energy. The whole world, this whole electrical grid that we're able to communicate with is albeit made possible by the energy of copper, the planet of Venus, the planet of illumination. And understand that we're not done with this whole alchemical process, but we could at least see how this shit works. You understand? We can see the process and we can see what we need to do. If our cup isn't being filled with illumination, at least we can see the sun and the moon, how this process begins to work. And then when we come into, the Mercury and the throat chakra, we know, okay, it's some shit that we need to say. And that's why the next video in the series is going to be the esoteric planets, Mercury Explained. So we can fully understand Mercury as a metal, Mercury as a planet, and Mercury as a chakra. Because then from there, we could deal with the higher chakras of the sun and the moon. And once we got our sun and our moon and our Mercury, now we know how to cook. So it's just simply, okay, locating the kitchen, locating the pots, locating the pans, locating the ingredients. Then we cook. So many times we want to just create a good ass meal spiritually, and we don't even know the compartments, we don't even know the protocols. We just see people doing spiritual shit, root workers and botanicas, and them passing out tarot cards and all of this shit, and we don't know what the fuck. Like, if you don't know, ain't nobody gonna tell you. A nigga is just gonna charge you up for a reading, buy these candles, buy these herbs, buy this, buy that, and you gonna be that same motherfucker at the end of the day. So even in the Bible, we've been tracking the Bible verses in the alchemical process, and we've done Genesis 1 through 5. So that would bring us to Genesis 1 through 6, or Genesis verse 6. Let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water. Understand, once you reach this level of enlightenment, you have produced a level of oil, a level of separation that is indicated right here. There will be a firmament, there will be a vault, there will be a separation between water from water. Even though we the same people, we got 5 fingers, 2 toes, I done grew up with you, I know you, everything is everything, but my mind right now, my experience, my expression from the soul, you just wouldn't even understand. And it ain't like I just came to this shit overnight. I've been working very, very hard and studying this shit very intricately to explain shit that people haven't really fully explained and understood in my family. And when I do my past life regression in my bloodline, this kind of conversation hasn't even been brought up in my DNA for the past 3 generations. So I've went 3 full lifetimes completely outside of this alchemy. I've been completely trapped in this human experience. So I'm so grateful for the internet and books and experience, and you and everybody watching this for support and everything to just keep this thing going. Because through this whole process, I'm knowing myself at such a deep level, and it's so spiritual and so soul based that I want to be able to know this shit completely and thoroughly, just in case you might have to ask me a question in reference to it. You understand? People can ask you questions on particular spiritual things, and you be like, well, I don't know. Let me ask my pastor. And I just want to be able to answer the questions. And so that's why I do this work, and that's why I'm so thorough in explaining it, and hopefully it makes sense to you and it resonates with you to the core, and it allows you to begin to dissolve your ego, not for the sake of destruction of yourself, but to rebuild yourself with the full understanding of the soul and the illumination of the esoteric planetary forces that are working with us for our advancement. We just have to be open to it. I appreciate the love, though. I really do. Patreon.com/the hoodmystic. For $1 a month, you could really support this channel and everything that I'm doing. I just want to spend a special shout out to thank everybody who supported me on the Patreon channel for, going close to a year now, man. And I'm just very thankful that y'all allow, whatever is getting drafted out of your account on a monthly basis with the pure soul intent to further my channel and further my content. When I first started my Patreon, I did not imagine that anybody would support me. I was just doing it for the heck of it. But to imagine to have close to 100 supporters, that's like thank you, you know what I'm saying? And thank you isn't even the right word. I'm just beyond grateful for all of the support. So, with that being said, it's about to be the beginning of the month again. And so we about to get ready for a whole new season of monthly moon sign readings. And I told you we were going to progress into doing 3-card readings and not doing the 1 card. So if you haven't got a monthly moon sign reading, be sure to sign up, because you will get a in-depth 3-card spread, whatever subject, general, career, love, magic, spirituality, 3-card spread. Read it to you, be real in depth, and if you need a follow-up, that's available to you too. But with that all being said, don't want to talk to you too much. Just wanted to get this information out. Do have this article on the site www.hoodmystic.com, and I also have a compendium of all of the alchemies 1 through 4. It's gonna be in video playlist. You can watch the video playlist, or you can read every single alchemy formula from Negredo, Albedo, Centrinatus, and Rubedo. All of it in one full read. On the Slack, I uploaded the PDF so you'll be able to read it on the Slack with no ads. But if you're on hoodmystic.com, you can read it, albeit with ads. But that's gonna change very soon as well too. But other than that, man, same old, same old. I'm still grinding, still working. This work actually created for me the new podcast that I'm about to be debuting in this coming week. So about to really work on the new podcast, and that's what this work is really about for me, is really getting my demons and my gods together in a nice little playground, and we're gonna just be talking about sex. And so I'm very excited about that. It's Sacred Exchange Podcast. You can follow the Instagram for any updates on the new podcast, and that would be the Sex Podcast at Instagram. So I'm gonna just end it with that, and you guys have a great day. Peace.